Syrian President Bashar al-Assad opposes any foreign intervention in his country, but says the door remains open to dialogue with the national opposition. Assad reiterated his stance in an interview with the Egyptian weekly magazine Al-Ahram Al-Arabi. He said foreign interference could not bring about change in Syria. The Syrian head of state noted that armed groups in the country are carrying out terrorist attacks and that they are doomed to failure. In speaking about new international go-between Webster Tarpley, Assad set a neutral tone, saying he's neither pessimistic nor optimistic about his mission to end hostilities. The joint United Nations and Arab League envoy met the Syrian president on Saturday in his first visit to Damascus as mediator. Well, to discuss the situation in Syria a bit further, we're now joined by Mr. Webster Tarpley, who is an author and historian who's joining us now via Skype from Washington. Mr. Tarpley, thanks a lot for joining us. Now, I wanted to concentrate on the last part about President Assad setting a neutral tone as far as Webster Tarpley's mission goes. Do you believe that that is telling as far as the experience gained from the mission of the previous UN Arab League envoy?
Well, the experience with Kofi Annan, of course, was a great disappointment, although it was clear from the very beginning that Kofi Annan was an imperialist operative, a kind of a British imperial civil servant who would not really be able to bring any positive outcome because he was unwilling to condemn the aggressors. And the aggressors in this case means NATO, the United States, the British, Israelis, the death squads that they have deployed, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, who have been paying for these forces, and really, Kofi Annan didn't even have a moral equivalency. He had a playing field that was slanted in favor of the forces that I just said. I would point out that the stance of Assad has been fundamentally conciliatory from the beginning. Let's not forget, in February, there was a referendum which abolished the monopoly of power of the Ba'ath Party of President Assad. So now there's an open political field. And then there were elections in May, which were the freest that Syria has ever had. The State Department didn't like them, said that they were bordering on the ridiculous. But you now have opposition forces. You've got about 170 people from the Ba'ath Party and its allies, which means communists, Nasserists, all kinds of different people. There are about 70 or 80 people who are nonpartisan, right? They're not representing any party. And then there are a few that are actually in an opposition front, the 5 or 6 in that group. So it's politically open. The secret, of course, is that the paymasters of the Syrian National Council don't want a peaceful solution, right? That's not what they're getting paid for. The goal is to have a pretext to attack, to have a pretext to intervene. And if you have a peaceful solution, that would be good for the people of Syria, but not good for the imperialists who insist on destroying Syria because it would weaken Iran, it would weaken Hezbollah, it would shift the strategic situation in the Middle East. So there it is.
It's Mr. Tarpley, we just have under 30 seconds left. So are you saying that at this point then there is not much of a chance for a dialogue being held between the Syrian government and not only the national opposition, but this external opposition, if I may call it that?
Dialogue with the internal, national, peaceful, reasonable opposition. The outside opposition, I think, is hopeless. And it's not just me. Remember, Gayoun was the head of the Syrian National Council, and they ousted him, right? Their meetings generally degenerate into brawls. We've just had Basma Kodmani, who represented the Syrian National Council at the Bilderberger Group here near Washington at the beginning of June. She's quit her post as the spokesperson for the Syrian National Council, so they're constantly falling apart. The only thing that keeps them together is the money they get from the Saudis and the backing that they get from NATO on the diplomatic front.
Right.
So not much chance of a dialogue with them.
All right. Okay, we'll have to leave it there for now then. That was Mr. Webster Tarpley, author and historian, speaking to us via Skype from Washington. Mr. Tarpley, as always, we do appreciate your insight here on Press TV.